Yo, what up, everybody? It's P-Sci back at it again with another deck list. So, I got second place at the sneak peek for the new set on Saturday, and I just wanted to give you guys this deck profile. I told you guys I would have some spice. I decided to go with going second Orcust. Because going first Orcust, now that Harp Horror is banned and you don't have access to the Engage engine, you need to play a different style in order to do the same things. You can still play on your opponent's turn, it's just you're not plussing as hard every turn. When you're doing your regular combo, normal summon Scrap Recycler now to dump Wand and get your Galatea, when you go into Dingirsu with an extender to go into IP Masquerena, your Dingirsu is not attaching anything from the Banish Zone because you no longer have anything in the Banish Zone. So I figured it would be really beneficial if you could just send something, but you're not going to be able to send anything unless you're going second. So I put in a bunch of going second cards, and it worked really well until the final round, where if I had just had enough time, I would have beat the opponent. But that's neither here nor there. It was 5 rounds, and this performed really well all day. 3 out of my 5 matches, I won 2-0. So let's get into it. First off, shoutouts to Team Bad Cards. My team's always there for me. So, normal summons, it's the same lineup as last time, except now, instead of Mathematician, you need to run Scrap Recycler. I really miss Mathematician, but unfortunately you can't play it anymore because there's no Harp anymore, and Mathematician only sends level 4s, so you have to run Scrap Recycler, which doesn't have that draw effect, which kind of sucks, but I mean, that's just the way the game has to be played. So that's all the normal summons, and then obviously Reinforcement of the Army. Next up, I've got the Orcust package. Now, a lot of people decided to play a lot more Orcust monsters, but I decided to cut them down, and I completely cut return, but I might add one return for later. But this works really well. You don't really want to see these. You want to see your going second cards, and then see just one normal summon, and then it just breaks boards. After that, the one Gizmek, the honorary Orcust monster. Then we got hand traps, 2 Ash, same as last time because we are running triple Allure of Darkness to cycle through our side deck cards. So we're running 3 of the Dark Skullmeister, and then 2 of the Dark Monster Fantastical Dragon Phantasme, which is really good going second for drawing the Birus after siding. And then moving on to the going second cards, Vashuda is really nice. It can out something, or if you're forced to go first, you can summon this and then go into an IP. But I didn't play IP for this tournament, but I'll talk about my changes a little bit later. The one Dino Wrestler Pankatrops, it's at 1. It's a very powerful card, and when you're going second, if you see it, then that's awesome. If you don't see it, then whatever. I actually drew into this mid-game during game 1 for my round 1, and I was able to just special summon it because my opponent had more monsters than I am. This deck does still grind. You can't OTK anymore with Boral Sword, but that's fine because you've got many ways to just blow out your opponent. And then I have 2 Shadal monsters. This one draws when it goes to the graveyard, and I actually got to use its flip effect once in the tournament. This one is a 1900 beater that you can normal summon. That also pops back row when it's sent to grave by a card effect, so that's really nice. 2 Destrudo, and then the 1 Mare for the Yazi package. I'm taking this out. I don't like it. The only time I even had the opportunity to activate Destrudo, it got called by the grave, so I never got into this. I normal summoned this a couple times, and then it got impermanenced, so it's like, this package is not good. I don't recommend playing it, but next is the spells. I've got triple Allure of Darkness to cycle through my cards. I've got triple Called by the Grave for hand traps. Even going second, this is really good. It also can out Orcust mirror matches and stuff because they need to actually use their stuff in the graveyard, so you can chain this to their symbol skeleton, which is nice. And then Instant Fusion, this is really good going first or second. When people make you go second, or make you go first, you just summon Winda, and you Winda lock them, and you just win. It's amazing. That's how I won round 1. Next up, the one of power spells. You got the Rhoda to search your normal summon. You got the Foolish Burial to send anything, and you got the Monster Reborn extender. You can bait out a Dingirsu immediately, going second by just Monster Reborning it. And then some more going second cards. 2 Mind Control. It's a 2 now, so you can only play 2, but it's still a very powerful card. You just steal one of your opponent's monsters. Next up, this is an amazing blowout card, Shaddoll Fusion. So if your opponent controls an extra deck monster, you get to activate this, summon a free Winda that you can use as link material, and it can attack. And it dumps a Shaddoll monster, which has an effect when it goes to grave, and your Orcust Nightmare or Destrudo in some cases, depending on what you're trying to go for. But it's really great. And then when Winda goes to the graveyard, it adds this back. And there's a reason why I play 2 Shaddoll targets. It's because I play 2 Winda. So you have the opportunity to really grind with your opponent, and it's really nice. Last spell is Babble for playing on your opponent's turn. A lot of people wanted this card to be banned, but it's still here, so we're playing it. Finally, for the trap cards, 3 main decked evenly match. There's a lot of boards this meta that do have a couple negates and stuff, but a lot of times they don't have a trap negate. Like sometimes decks will end on Hope Harbinger, Apollosa, and like with a 1-card hand rip or whatever. But evenly takes care of those. It takes care of the back row decks. It either baits a negate or it just ends their life. So that's really nice. And since decks are grinding, you still do play the 1 Crescendo. This is amazing in the graveyard mid-game because you get to search your Gizmek and save your life, or search your Symbol Skeleton so you have a normal summon. This is a really good card. Alright, so that's the main deck. I played 48, so let's move on to the extra deck next. So this is, I tried to keep it as standard as possible to what it was before the ban list, but playing in this tournament made me realize that there need to be some changes. So I got the Boral Sword, which is nice. I did make it once, so that's fine. This is Zerberus is good disruption on your opponent's turn. I didn't play IP, so Unicorn didn't come up as much as it should have, but it's still a good utility, and so is Phoenix. You need to have these for those back row decks. I've got the 1 Monk so that I can use the Vishuda engine. I thought about cutting the Vishuda engine, but I think I'm going to keep it because you do need an extender going for when you're forced to go first, because I don't agree with dangers in this type of deck, although some other people were playing it in previous formats. It just, you can't OTK anymore, so, but I think I will keep this. The Link Karibo was for the Yazi play. I obviously don't play Brass Bombard, but the tokens are level 1, and without that you can't really link climb with it, so you needed to play this if you're playing the Yazi package, but I think I'm going to cut that like I said earlier. Then the Orcust monsters, you got your Lynx, Longirsu, and then only 2 Galatea. I think I'm going to bump this up to 3 because the grind games, you definitely need it. Only 2 Xyz monsters, just the double Dingirsu. This is so necessary. This is the best boss monster in the game in my opinion, and I'm glad they didn't touch it on the list. Next up, the Synchros. We only have Yazi, and I think I'm just going to cut this card. I mean, theoretically, it's like a really good, but it just didn't come up as often as it should have to justify its use. I can have another monster in my extra deck instead of this. And then finally for the fusions, the double window that I alluded to earlier, and then the Thousand Eyes Restrict. Instant Fusion is very powerful. I'm glad it's still at 3 so that you can see it in your opening hand, hopefully, because Thousand Eyes Restrict breaks boards, and then Winda prevents your opponent from special summoning more than once, and good luck outing it, because this can't be destroyed by card effects. It can only be destroyed by battle, which is insane. And you usually have your Dingirsu with the material on it to protect it in addition to that, so it's really, really good, really powerful. Finally, the side deck. So we got the Nibiru token for when you Nibiru your opponent, which I did manage to do during the tournament. You just drop the rock on them, tribute their whole field, and they've got nothing left. It's phenomenal. And then you have a 3,000 beater to destroy them next turn with. Very awesome. This was a good meta call. A lot of people are playing this that I've discovered after I've decided to play this. So I guess I was thinking correctly, because now the Colossus is dead. Searchy decks are going to be all over the place trying to search and stuff, and we get to completely stop that strategy with this Floodgate hand trap that just ends turns, ends Spiral's turns. It ends a lot of different decks that are just drawing and adding from their deck to their hand. It just ends their turn automatically, and then you get to just kill them. Next up, Dark Ruler No More. This is really good to draw or see in your opening hand. There's just these unbreakable fields, and no unbreakable field is really setting a counter trap right now, so you get to just literally turn off their field and then eat their board completely. But it's not good against every deck. It's not good against like back row decks, so that's why it's in the side deck. Speaking of back row decks, triple Twin Twister. This is very important for knocking out all those spells and traps. And if you think that someone's going to make you go first and they're playing like a pendulum deck or something, this is really good to go in the main deck, or yeah, to put in the main deck as well. And then finally, just in case there's like FTKs running around, you always want to have some type of disruption that can't be called by the Graved. So Infinite Impermanence is a great trap for that purpose. Alright, but that is the main side and extra deck. Thank you guys for watching. Really quick, the matchups. Round 1, I faced Gren Maju Turbo. I ended up 2-0ing that match. They won the die roll, and they made me go first, so that stunk. I ended on a subpar board, but I managed to break through and win games 1 and 2. Next up, I played a Spiral player. They didn't do very much their first turn, so I guess it was a bad hand, so I was able to win that. And then game 2, I ended up Droll Lockbirding them, and they passed on a suboptimal board again, and I was able to push through again. But that player ended up getting like 4th or something like that, I think. Then I played an Altergeist matchup. That was really good. He was the first person that took me to game 3. So yeah, I mean, in game 3, I ended up misplaying by activating Twin Twisters to 4 back row and an Inspector border, but I managed to outgrind it because he had the Judgment anyway. It honestly didn't matter. I ended up just outgrinding the deck. Finally, there was Scott with the Gren Maju deck, and if I just had a little bit more time, I would have been able to get it. There was one other match, but I totally forgot what it was. Doesn't matter, but you guys will see this deck again, except there will be some changes to it, so I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.